Hi and welcome back. Today I am among some of my larger RC airplanes, and I am actually going to take a closer look and do a maiden on the E-Flite Timber X, and this is the largest and heaviest RC airplane I've purchased so far, so it will be really interesting. The weather right now is it's winter time, so this will be a twilight flight, maiden flight, and well, just let's grab the airplane and go outside. Here I am, early morning, twilight. It's time to do a maiden on this Timber X from E-Flite. First off, I think just make a few turns on the ground. As you can see, it's quite dark outside, so it will be interesting to see how the LED lights work. Time for takeoff, and I have the takeoff flaps deployed. Yes, a really short takeoff. Doesn't take much runway to get this one in the air. So let's just make a few gentle turns, not too fast, just to see that everything is working as it should. Left turns are always easier than right turns somehow. I'd say the LED, they work really nice, and today it's actually raining and really dark, so it's no wind, but it's kind of shitty weather really. So a nice gentle right turn. Okay, everything seems to be working, so I'm just lining up to, let's go one right turn, one left turn, and then do an approach to do a loop and a roll. So first a loop, very nice, then a roll. It's not that snappy really, I did actually move full stick. So let's do a roll then and a loop. And a half loop. And then another roll. It does remind me a bit of the Carbon Cub S2 actually. So one turn, and then let's go into a roll. And a loop, yeah. So I'm keeping the airplane quite low now because when the weather is like this, it's just stupid to go too high up because I cannot see the airplane. So if I have a clear blue sky or white clouds, I will certainly go higher, but today not. And just a lower loop, and turns are really tight if you like to. And this is actually the maiden flight, and it's also the first time I fly when it's actually raining. So let's make a slow flyby. That front LED looks really bright. One more lower flyby, just to see the LEDs. Looks nice. But I actually have to be on the throttle to make it fly good. It's not a floater. It does feel heavy. Yeah, I really have to push the throttle to have it, go through the turns. And a low pass. To check out the look of the Timber X. I have about maybe 2 minutes left on my timer, so I'm deploying landing flaps and lining up to do a landing. Oh, it's a bit skewed. I think I really need to have a longer approach. Let's get up once more and just do another landing. Time is almost up, so let's get it up first. Just a short, nice takeoff. Make a few gentle turns before I land it again. I set my timer for 5 minutes for this 2200 milliamp battery. I think 5 minutes. It should at least do 5 minutes. So here's the approach. Oh, kind of skewed again. It does actually feel a bit unstable when you have the final approach. So I think I need a bit more speed and have a longer glide slope. But here it is, the Timber X Maiden. It's a nice one in a kind of bad weather situation. Okay, so we're back at home after the Maiden flight, and I have to say it was quite an interesting flight. First of all, to fly in the dark, and second of all, to fly in the rain, which I've never done before. So I think actually the Turbo Timber handled great. It did feel heavy, so I don't know if it actually became heavier due to the rain. Probably it did. But I felt that this is not a great floater really. So you have to be on the throttle. Of course you can go quite slow. I installed the leading edge slats on the front, so these are glued inside of the front edge of the wing. And so slow flight is certainly possible with this one. And as you saw, the takeoffs, they are just super short. So I mean, just go straight up, and if you just keep on pushing the throttle and a little bit of up elevator, you just go straight up. So it's quite powerful also. But it does not float too great really, which is a feature I appreciate. So compare this one to the Carbon Cub S2, it does float much better. And if you compare this one, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but if you do compare this one with the UMX Turbo Timber, the Turbo Timber is just so nice to float in the air and do everything so agile because it's so tiny and small. And this one is just a heavy chunk of airplane. So it does take much more power and speed to do things. I was a bit surprised that the actual rolls and loops were not snappier. Although I did run this on a 3-cell 2200 milliamp battery. So I mean, 4-cell would most definitely make it snappier. But to me, it did actually remind me much more about how the Carbon Cub S2 flies. So it's a kind of with a bit of resistance actually, it flies. The best thing was actually the LED lights. They worked super great, and being so dark, I had no problem telling orientation. Although this is the usual, the first Timber X, and there's also a night Timber X which features lights inside the fuselage and the wings, and that one is just super easy to see in the sky. So to assemble this one was quite easy. You just put on the landing gears underneath with a few screws. The two wings, they came in 2 halves, and there's a rod inside to stabilize them. There are 2 plastic screws, and of course you have to attach the wires inside. And then you have to mount the rear stabilizer, which is made of 2 halves. You can choose if you want to have a carbon rod reinforcement for normal flight, and there is also a steel rod included if you want to have more vertical flight. So it's a great set of features. You can also program the flaps so they work in conjunction with the ailerons. So you have one huge surface to actually do loops and other stuff. So that's a thing that I might look up in the future. But frankly, I purchased this one, and then I actually realized that I should actually have gone for the E-Flite Timber X instead, because it does feature so much more with the better receiver, with full telemetry. And the thing is that the lights and even the red color on the wing is much more suited to what I like. So I mean, it's a good flying RC airplane, capable of so much more. Normal flight, kind of slow flight. The landing wheels were just great. Of course, I have to work on the landings because they were not the best, but I think with enough glide slope and runway, they will just be kind of nice. It does feel a bit unstable on the ground because it's quite high. If you look like this, from the wheelbase to the wing is quite high, so it's a bit unstable when you run it on the ground. And especially when you land, then it will kind of skew and have one of the wings dip down. But I mean, overall, just a great one. But I will actually go for the E-Flite Timber X as my recommendation instead of this one, because the price difference is so small compared to what you actually get. But I mean, hey, that was the Maiden and some thoughts about the E-Flite Timber X.